Hi, my name is Aaron Linsdau. I'm a polar explorer and motivational speaker. It's book review day! And what book are we reviewing? But the Princess Diarist? Oh, come on, focus, there we go, by Carrie Fisher. The Princess Diarist by Carrie Fisher is hilarious. That's a really good book to enjoy. Now, you can read the book or you can do the audiobook thing. I totally recommend the audiobook on this particular book. And here's why. Carrie Fisher read it. She actually read the book to you before she passed away on that flight. It's been a little while ago now, unfortunately. So, and they have a picture of her when she was much younger, obviously, and that's how we all remember Carrie Fisher is with the ear buns or the hair buns from Star Wars. Yeah, geez. And so apparently she was digging through some of her boxes and found journals, and not just any journals, but the journals that she had written when she was growing up, and then when she was actually filming Star Wars with Mark Hamill and Harrison Ford. Check that out. Totally cool. So, I mean, tons and tons of people know about Star Wars and this whole long legacy, but I don't know if there's ever been a book written by any of the three main characters. R2-D2 and C-3PO don't write, and Chewbacca, I don't think he speaks English, and Darth Vader was busy killing people, so no problem. But Carrie Fisher, she did a good job. So it says, when Carrie Fisher recently discovered the journal she kept during the filming of the first Star Wars movies, she was astonished to see what they had preserved. Love poems, musings with youthful naivete, and a vulnerability she barely recognized. In 1977, Carrie Fisher was a teenager with a crush on Harrison Ford. And what do you think happened there? Yeah. So, the book is quite entertaining, and should I say Carrie or Miss Fisher? Let's just say Carrie Fisher. Carrie Fisher is definitely straight up about her language. She's got the older woman perspective of screw it, I'm just going to use the language that I want to use, and it's a tiny bit coarse. It's not terrible, but if you want to listen to the book with kids in the car, it's not bad, but you want to consider it. It's got a little bit of coarse language. Nothing terrible. I mean, it's just something I noticed. And of course, a lot of the people who enjoy Star Wars and all that psychology of that is like, oh, whoa. I mean, she was always a brash character, which made it really fun to watch. But hearing it from the real person who played the character talk about the experiences was just interesting. Now, I actually didn't know this, but apparently Carrie Fisher and Harrison Ford had an affair while they were filming the movie. And during the filming Monday through Friday, I think that's what their schedule was, it was all business, but apparently Fisher and Ford were hanging out on the weekends, and yeah. So it became a thing. Apparently, she didn't really talk a lot about Mark Hamill in this at all, which I guess I wasn't totally surprised, because Harrison Ford was a much bigger star at the time, and geez, he still is. I mean, he's really old being, I think, in his 70s, but nevertheless, I mean, he was already a pretty well and up-and-coming star. He was an established character. I don't know if Mark Hamill, other than doing Grease, I think, he wasn't maybe in a movie or two, and Fisher totally wasn't in it. So that was the fun part about the book, is how she actually got the part. And there was this huge lineup of people that Lucas and was looking for to try and find the part, and she decided to pitch out for it. I mean, apparently her life wasn't going very well. Her father and mother, they were famous actors. She was an actor and actress, but that exposure to that world really started to mess with her head. It was kind of sad, because you think of Hollywood and the glamour and all this, but besides, Hollywood's just like a crazy nutball of maniacs that somebody says, hey, we should shove them out into the ocean, but ignore that factor. But from Carrie Fisher being in the Hollywood world, she knew what it was like as a kid to be associated with that, but not as an actual actress in the business. And very quickly she got sucked into it. And I mean, she actually got the part, and there's this whole great story of how she actually got the part to play Princess Leia. Now, most people, if not all, thought that Star Wars is just going to be a one-off sort of cheesy space opera, let alone did they know it would become probably the most epic space movie series ever made. The recent films, ooh, yeah, Disney, you guys need to work on that. But back then, I mean, those three movies, A New Hope, Hope, Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi. I mean, Return of the Jedi with the Ewoks, and she really, interestingly, even though Carrie Fisher talks mostly about the Star Wars experience because that's what her journals were about, she did touch on Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. She didn't actually get into the current movies hardly at all, other than saying like the Jar Jar Binks series was totally maligned, and oh gosh, who thought that was a great idea? Thank goodness it wasn't me, but I didn't make $1 billion either. So even if it's a bad idea, sometimes $1 billion is not a bad idea. So Carrie Fisher talked about those experiences of actually pitching for the part, not thinking she's going to get it, and all of a sudden getting a phone call, and she's super young. I mean, I think she was 17, turning 18 at the time during the filming, so she knew how her parents worked. But the actual filming and being there, having to get up at like 4 in the morning to get costume and makeup on, and then rolling all the way through the day till 10 o'clock at night and then repeating it. Interestingly, Carrie Fisher had a hairstylist they tried on a bunch of different styles of hair. She tried that and like, oh my gosh, why isn't this working? And they go in to Lucas and the producer like, that's brilliant, that's what we want. The crazy hair bun. Imagine your life literally defined by crazy hair buns until the day you die. Oh. So one day you have like a wacky hair day, but it was so distinctive and different that the hairstylist tried it and they're like, hey, this is great because it's space. You know, just because our perception of hairstyles should be a certain way, I mean, it's in a galaxy far, far away. So as a young woman, she's like, oh my gosh, this looks nutty and it takes forever to get on and all this. But it really defined her look for the role. Otherwise, I mean, she was just a young woman with, I wouldn't say any distinct particular features. She wasn't tall. In fact, she was actually quite short. So that made it actually much more fun too, because you've got this very short actress playing a princess role, and not like a princess, oh, I like my Gucci bag princess, but I'm going to hold a blaster and I run a planet sort of princess where you don't want to mess with her because she'll shoot back. And just like her character in Star Wars, the original A New Hope, Carrie Fisher, boy, she had no problems getting the blaster out and blazing away. She, I would say, didn't hold anything back in this book at all. I mean, there's no question what her feelings were, how she felt about people, how she felt about having to go through those experiences and really bad times. But she also talked about her addictions and the things that developed, because apparently her parents had huge trouble, and it was like divorce. I mean, it was a big mess. It's like, if you really want to get into Hollywood and movies, unless you have a real stable, probably religious background, if you think, oh, I'll just be good, chances are being in Hollywood's really going to mess you up. So Carrie Fisher did an excellent job dispelling the romance of Hollywood and, oh, what a beautiful place is. After listening to it, I mean, obviously I'm doing filming, I have my own show, but man, I don't know if I'd want to be in Hollywood working in that world, because there's tons of people working, there's above the line people, actors and actresses that you see, and the gazillion people below the line, producer, director, all the way to the water boy and the guy and gal bringing the pizza. I mean, it's a totally different world. So Carrie Fisher did an excellent job explaining how that world really works, how you want to avoid a lot of things that she got sucked into. She was very clear how, even though Hollywood really helped make her career in life, it also brought her into a world that arguably destroyed it. I mean, she died of a terrible drug overdose on a flight. I think it was back to LA. I don't remember exactly where she was flying back to. But man, just the addictions and the things she got hooked on, because especially like being a young woman with all the grips and gaffers and a bunch of tough electricians, Harrison Ford actually saved her from a very uncomfortable and bad situation. That was actually a really good story in the book, is how those guys like, hey, how's it going? Want to hang out with us? And we're here, have a couple drinks, even though she's not legal. And Harrison Ford came in and saved her bacon and whisked her away. So that was actually a good story to talk about, how he saved her, just like in the movie. It was actually a real life saving compared to the experience in the movie. It was like part and parcel. Now, nobody was shooting at her, but yeah, who knows? So that was actually pretty fun. It was very reflective of how her life actually really was in reality, and then in the movie. I mean, it was almost so crazy you could just make a movie about the reality of doing that, and boom, you would have a movie. So I highly recommend listening to the audiobook version of The Princess Diarist, simply because it's entertaining. It gives you a view and an understanding of the person from the other side. Just reading the book, I don't think would do it any justice. Hearing her voice and hearing her intonations and thoughts, that is the way to go. Check out The Princess Diarist from your local library on audio. Get it on Audible or wherever. I'll try and remember to put a link down in here so you can hook into that. Just totally entertaining and educational to show what it was really like to be a young woman in the movie industry in the 70s, and how she grew up into it, how it benefited and really hurt her life. Highly recommended. Very well worth the time, money, and effort. My name is Aaron Linsdau. I am a polar explorer and motivational speaker. Please like and comment on the video, subscribe to the channel. Please support me on my PayPal, Venmo, and Patreon links below to help keep this channel going. It makes it a little bit easier. I hope you enjoyed the experience, and stay motivated to read.